Guys, it's Planner Colleen. So I'm here today with my stamping video for my Wonton in a Million stamps. So I purchased these a couple of months ago for use in my planners. Now I haven't used them yet, and the reason I haven't used them yet is because I've been waiting to do this video for you guys. So I decided on these 3 sets because I thought they were the ones that I would use the most in my planners. So you have this cute little happy mail, you have your dot grid, your habit trackers, and then you have your lists and your washi, and then you have your days, today to-dos, and more to-do lists. And these are actually perfect for writing the date in as well, that I thought. And then you have this cute little wonton with the flag, and then you have another little love heart habit tracker. So I'm going to jump right in. What you're going to need for this is you're going to need some type of ink, you're going to need an acrylic block for your stamps, paper, and I'm going to use these wipes for cleaning my stamps after I use them. So in the past I've always used chalk ink for my stamping. However, I find that the VersaFine ink is the best. It's a pigment ink, and you just get that more definitive line, and it's that little bit bolder when you do stamp with it. So far this is one of my favorite inks that I have used, but I do like the chalk inks as well to use as well. So going forward in this video, I'm going to use the VersaFine Onyx Black pigment ink, and I'm going to put my chalk ink to the side. You can get inks from Craftelier or Amazon. That's the main places that I buy mine, and the same with the acrylic blocks. I got this planner on AliExpress for €13, so I tend to use this planner for testing out pens, inks, or even for quick notes or anything like that. So in this planner I got free inserts with it. So I have the grid box, I have the lined, I have the blank, and I have a second blank as well. They're in 2 different colours, one sort of like a yellow paper and the other is sort of like a creamy paper, and then I just have empty pockets at the back. So for today I'm going to take out one of the blank and I am going to use this one for testing. So because I'm working with ink, I'm just going to roll up my sleeves because I don't want it to get on my clothes, and I'm going to start with this pack. Now, something that I find really handy about the Wonton in a Million stamps is that when you roll back this piece of paper, it doesn't fall off. So with most silicone stamps, you have 2 pieces of acetate, one to lay them down and one to keep the back clear, and they usually come apart, whereas these are stuck together, which, I don't know, I just find it's a lot easier to keep them intact when it opens up like a little book like that. So I'm going to use my large acrylic block today so that we can get through this as quick as possible. So I'm going to start off with these little date dots. So you guys, because I had extra room on this block, I just went ahead and added on as much as I could so that I could show you how it turns out. Now, people have different preferences when it comes to their ink and how they apply it. Some people will lift up the acrylic block and place it down on the ink pad, but for me personally, especially when I have a small ink pad like this pigment ink, I like to dab it on myself. So now that we're done, it's time to stamp. So you can just rotate your acrylic block over. And what I love about this is you can actually see right through, so you can get your placement absolutely perfect. And it's important that once it touches the page, not to lift it again, because you're going to have smearing otherwise. So this is just after being placed down. Now I have not touched it or applied pressure. It's going to be trial and error when you first get new stamps as to which it works best with. It will work differently with different types of ink as well. So sometimes you will have to apply pressure and other times you won't. On this occasion I am going to apply pressure because I have not used the VersaFine pigment ink before. And it's important when you're applying this pressure not to move the acrylic block. So I will keep one hand to keep the block in place and I will use the other hand to apply the pressure. So now that once the stamp has been stamped down, I'm going to very carefully remove the acrylic block. Now when you're doing this, I advise you to do it in one brief movement. Don't do it slowly, and do it upwards in one direction. I'm going to hold down the paper just in case it has stuck slightly to it because I did apply pressure. And that turned out fantastic. So you can see with the pigment ink, the majority of the ink has been soaked up by the paper and you get clear, definitive lines. I'm so happy with this. What I like about these is the fact that I'm stamping in black ink, but you can at a later stage, once the ink is dried, to colour them in, and they can then match up with any setting that you do have in your planner or any other craft project. So it's been a couple of seconds since I have stamped this, so I'm just going to do a brief test to see if it is smudge proof. So it does smudge a little bit. It's only been a few seconds, but I'd imagine if you left this for a minute it would be fully dry. The dry time will also depend on the type of paper you have, and this is quite a smooth paper, so it wouldn't be as absorbent as other types of paper. So guys, I'm going to go ahead now and I'm going to clean off my stamps with my wipes and place them back into the card, and then I'll be back with the rest of the stamps in this set. So the ones that I haven't stamped yet are the day flags, and it's also handy as well when you go to put your stamps back, there is a print on the front of the acetate so you can return them to their rightful home. I also leave my stamps on the acrylic block when I clean them. I just find this the easiest way to do it. And I don't do anything fancy with my wipe. I just give them all a good scrubbing, and as you can see they're foaming up. So what I'll more than likely do once I'm satisfied they are all fully clean is go over it with some tissue paper. So I can see now that all the ink has been removed, and I'm now going to go ahead and get some tissue paper. So I'm just going to dab the tissue paper just to absorb the suds that I created when I was cleaning it. The reason I'm not wiping the tissue paper over it is because this is just toilet paper that I'm using, and if I wipe it is going to get stuck to the acrylic blocks. So just like that, in I'd say around 30 seconds these are immaculately clean again, and I can place them back into their storage. So guys, another little tip for you when you're storing your inks is once you're finished your stamping and everything, I'd advise you to store your ink upside down like this in a dark press or cupboard so that the sun doesn't dry them out. And the reason you store them upside down is so that the ink is constantly keeping the sponge inside wet. So I'm going to go ahead and do what I did previously. I'm just going to slowly stamp with my ink onto the silicone stamps. Now I'm not pushing down hard, I'm barely touching the stamps. If you push down too hard, the sponge inside the ink is going to expel all of its ink, and you are going to destroy your paper, your workspace, and your stamps and your acrylic block. So it's like a very tiny tap almost that I'm doing. And as with the last time, when you're placing it, before you actually touch the paper, decide exactly where you want to place it down and then drop it. So as I pushed that down, my thumb moved it diagonally ever so slightly, so I know already it isn't going to be the perfect stamp. So once it's down, I can't move it. So you do have to be very, very careful when you are stamping. Now I'm going to use this hand to keep my acrylic block in one place, and then I'm just going to push down with my other hand, making sure not to move the stamps. And I'm quite happy with that. And as I said before, you are going to want to pull it up in one movement, not fast, but definitely not slowly. And you're going to use your left hand to hold the paper down. Now, so as you can see, the Today and the To Do were more of a blackout stamp. So I possibly should have went back and re-stamped them with the ink before I did it. And the Wednesday didn't fully ink up either. But once you have the stamp down and done, you can go back with a Muji pen, for example, would be perfect for this, a black Muji pen, because this has the 0.38 nib and it's nice and fine, and you can touch it up then if you so wish. So guys, I'm going to clean up my stamps again and put them back in their home, and then we can start with another stamp set. So guys, I'm just going to show you what I do to clean up any little mistakes when I'm stamping. As I said, I mentioned the Muji pen. I also would use my Pigma Micron fine liner as well. These are fantastic, especially if you block right. These are lovely to use. So as you can see here on the Wednesday, I'm just going to join up that line so it's hardly noticeable. Now, as you can see over here, this is a little bit different because it was a blackout stamp, so it's just filling it in, the white marks with the pen. So guys, as you can see, that's just how you can do quick little touch-ups when things don't go your way when you are stamping. Now, it has to be said, stamping isn't for the faint-hearted. It sometimes goes drastically wrong and you just have to take a deep breath and start again. I have to say that the Wonton in a Million silicone stamps are of extremely high quality. I do buy a lot of stamps off AliExpress if I'm making cards. And they're fine, they do the job, but the longevity of them isn't as good because you are pulling and placing them off an acrylic block so many times that ripping does happen to them sometimes. You can also use the old-fashioned rubber stamps. I personally don't like them. I think you get a better stamp off the silicone stamps. I don't know if I mentioned the Wonton in a Million stamps can only be bought in Michael's stores in the US, and you can also buy them from her website at wontoninamillion.com. So I actually haven't checked this paper, so as you can see on the other side I have a good bit of bleed through, but you have to remember that this is a pigment ink, so I wasn't surprised to see that when I turned the page over. So you won't get that as much if you use chalk ink. So I am now going to go on to my next set and get these stamped up for you. You also get this cute little card in the package as well, and if you wanted you could cut off this part here and you could use this as a tab or as a little die cut in your planner. So before I jump in and get these on the acrylic block, as you can see in this one, you have the months of the year, you have Steamy with her stickers, you have it's planning time, you have Steamy again with her habit trackers, and you have just a plain habit tracker with nothing attached to it. You have the dot grid, you have another habit tracker over here, you have Washi Wednesday, a little washi, you have Wonton Happy Mail, you have the days of the week down the side here, you have Sticker Addict Sale, Plan With Me, sheets of stickers, new releases, and a little Steamy with her planner, and then you have a cute little love heart line down the bottom here as well. So I'm going to go ahead and get these attached to my acrylic block. Guys, you just saw there that I wiped off a mark. It's also important to make sure that your acrylic block is kept clean as well. So after 2 stamps, I had one little smudge on it, so I just removed it with my hand. I wouldn't advise you do that. It's a natural instinct as a human, if you see something dirty, to just rub it with your hand. Well, it is for any clean freak like myself. So what I would advise maybe after 2 or 3 stamps with your acrylic block is obviously to check it and to also possibly give it a clean with a wipe as well. Now guys, same as last time, you're going to have to concentrate really hard on your placement to make sure that it doesn't shift and cause smudging. So I found if I get it like a centimetre above the page and then drop it, that also helps. And this time I'm going to use my right hand to hold it in place, and then I'm going to evenly apply pressure over the rest of the acrylic block. And here I'm swapping so that my left hand is keeping the acrylic block in place, and then I'm evenly adding pressure with the rest of my hand. And now I'm going to pull it up in one quick movement, and I'm going to use my left hand to hold down the paper, the same as the last time. So these turned out super cute. I paid a little bit more attention to my ink application this time, and you can see the months of the year came out fantastic. January is a little bit smudged up the top, but all of the characters and these came out perfect. I'm so happy. The pigment ink, as I said, the VersaFine pigment ink in the Onyx Black is fab. I love it. It's very, you have a very defined line from it, and I like that. I don't think you get as defined a line with the chalk ink. So back to cleaning, guys. You'll find after a while your wet wipe is going to get dirty itself from all the ink, so you will have to change it up. Now I'm using a lot of stamps here today, so you are not going to use all that amount of stamps yourself in one sitting. So that looks relatively clean. On these blackout ones, you have to really dig in, even with your nail, to get all of the ink out, because they can just get stuck. Sometimes the ink gets stuck, so I just use my nail as I run it along. And I'm just going to go back in with my tissue paper and just dab the excess suds off the stamps before I return them to their little home. So I can see down here there's still ink on these, and I'm not happy, so I'm going to go back in. It's very important to keep your stamps clean, just to avoid build-up of the inks, especially if you're using different coloured inks. Over time, you are going to destroy your stamps if you don't keep them clean. So while it is a pain in the behind, it is one of the most important parts of stamps, is keeping them clean. So I'm still not happy. I have little pieces here that still have ink on them. So I'm just going to give them an extra hard scrub with my wet wipe. Now I'm sure you could use wet wipes, normal wet wipes, but these are cleaning wet wipes, and I just find that you get a better clean because there's obviously a detergent in them. So you do get a better clean if you use the likes of a Dettol wipe or a Cif wipe when you're cleaning them, and they are antibacterial, so why not? And it's also handy because when you go back to use your stamps at a later stage, then you know they're clean because you clean them before you put them away. So I'm going to return these to their acetate, and I'm going to take out the next set for stamping so we can see how they turn out. So guys, because I was able to get loads on my last stamp, I only have a small few from this set left. So I'm just gonna jump right in and get these inked up before we stamp them down and see how they turn out. When you buy silicone stamps, they are more than likely always going to have a backing card and a front card. So on the front card, they will have, more often than not, it printed in black so that you can see what stamp you're picking up so you can use it. However, I don't think you actually know what way a stamp is going to turn out until you ink it up and use it yourself, because it's very easy for them to look pretty on the acetate when it's printed directly from a computer image. Stamping is an art form. So again guys, I'm going to do exactly what I did the last time. I'm just going to drop it onto the page, and then I'm going to hold down, putting even pressure on every one of the stamps. And same as the last time, when I'm pulling it up, I'm going to hold the paper down and I'm going to pull it in one quick, swift movement. Oh, they turned out so lovely. I'm loving the typewriter style of the lettering with the days of the week here, and I just did that smudge there by rubbing over it. And again, the most beautiful, even the images are so cleanly done. I'm so happy with these. I have to laugh actually, because there is Wonton in a million new releases this evening at 5 p.m. Irish time, which is 12 midday Eastern time in America. So I am getting ready for them. It's her Christmas and winter collection. So I'm after applying my discount already, so I'm waiting patiently for 5 p.m. Irish time to come in, and I'm going to get it in. I swore to myself that I was on a no spend until Christmas, but on Friday yesterday, Hand Stitched Leather on Etsy reopened their shop from vacation mode, so I picked up one of them. So that's €50 gone. Now that is a rarity. Their shop doesn't open very often, so I have to purchase one for my A6ology. And then I've decided that today's Wonton in a Million launch is going to be the end of my buying. I swear to God. I have no doubt I'll probably be talking to you next week with another planner haul of stuff I'm after buying. But I've already started my Christmas shopping. It is October, I know, but I just find I can enjoy Christmas so much more by starting my shopping early. So I have a couple of my big gifts purchased already, and of course I have my shopping list written down of what else I need to buy. I'm crazy, I know, but I think a lot of us planning girls are, well, of course we're crazy, but I think we're definitely extremely organised people. Even if we don't do it, we'll write a lot about doing it, and we'll make all of the lists in the world. So they cleaned up lovely, and I'm going to put them back into their new home, and then we're on to the last pack. So guys, I'm on to the last packet of stamps that I did purchase from Wonton in a Million, and I like to call this the lists and washi stamps. So I'm going to start a new page again, and I'd just like to remind you as well that the bleed through that you can see is a reflection of the ink and paper I'm using and not of the stamps themselves. If you hate bleed through, then I'd advise you to pick up the Versa Magic chalk ink. I might actually do one in the pigment ink that I've used, and I'm going to do one in the chalk ink just so that you can see the difference. Because there is a massive difference. I absolutely 100% prefer the pigment ink as opposed to the black chalk ink. The reason being obviously is just the pigment ink is a lot more pigmented and the chalk ink is more of like a dark grey. It isn't fully black. I do like the chalk ink. I have the Colour Box chalk ink and the cat's eye ones, as you can see here. I got these a long time ago. These are obviously they're different colours, so they don't bleed through, obviously because they're chalk ink, but I think the colours in the chalk ink print better than the solid black. I think it's the same with printers in general. Black just is a colour that printers tend to struggle with. So I think the chalk ink is quite similar in the sense that you don't get as pigmented a colour as you would with the VersaFine pigment ink. So I'm going to set up our acrylic block again, guys, and I'm going to start with the lists, and I'm going to use the chalk ink this round so that you can have a comparison. These washi strips fit perfectly on this acrylic block. I'm so happy. I got this set from Amazon, guys. I'll leave the link down below. You get 4 acrylic blocks in that one. So this is the largest and the smallest is super small. This is the largest and this is the smallest, and then you have the other 2 sizes in between. You have large, or extra large, large, medium and small. Now my only critique with these is, as you can see, there's lines on them which are very helpful when you're placing down your stamps, but there was like an overlay on top of these, so I had to pull off the little sticker that was on every single one of the little boxes. So if you have like a little plastic scraper, it would make life a lot easier for you. But other than that, I really like these acrylic blocks. You can get loads of different stamps, and you can get acrylic blocks as well with like a handle on top, which is a personal preference. I personally don't like them, but a lot of people do. So as you saw earlier, I used my ink pad on the pigment ink and I dabbed it around. So I'm going to do it the same with this. Now this is a much larger block, so you have to be extremely careful when you are dabbing your ink down, obviously because it's larger. Now you can already see the colour difference as I am stamping them up. So I'm making sure I'm dabbing a lot more with the chalk ink than I would have with the pigment ink, because it's that little bit drier than the pigment ink. The pigment ink is a wetter solution, so you do have to, I'm even using a lot more force when I'm dabbing it than I did with the pigment ink. So again, guys, this is just a black chalk ink. It's called Midnight Black by Versa in the chalk ink version, and the only reason you would really use this is so that you don't get bleed through. So it will be interesting to see, firstly, if you like the colour, and then secondly, if there is no bleed through. So again, guys, I'm just going to drop it and add pressure to all the stamps in all the parts. Now I'm happy with that, so I'm going to hold the paper with my left hand and I'm going to pull it up quickly. Now there is a massive, massive difference. So you guys can see it still works and you still get it. You could possibly go over it with your Pigma Micron pen, but the colour payoff is not there for me, guys, so that's why I am not a fan of this ink. Now these do clean up and it comes off a lot easier than with the Pigma or the pigment ink, but I am not a fan of the black chalk ink. So guys, to do a fair comparison, I'm going to stamp again with the exact same ones on my acrylic block, this time using the pigment ink. And also because I really want to see what these are like when stamped with pigment ink. Now guys, the same as the last time, I'm going to hover it over the page until it's where I want it, and then I'm going to drop it and push down. You'll have to excuse if you can hear my dog in the background. It's nearly dinner time and he's getting very impatient. I do feed him on a regular basis, but he is just breaking my heart. It is another hour and a half until it's dinner time for him, so he's chancing his arm. So guys, same as the last time, I'm going to hold down the page and pull up quickly. Now there you go. The difference in colour payoff is massive between the pigment ink and the chalk ink, and as I said, there is no bleed through. Well, there's a little bit, but it's not as noticeable. You can see there is a tiny bit, but it isn't as obvious as the pigment ink, obviously. So listen, if bleeding through the paper is going to drive you crazy, then knock yourself out and get the chalk ink, but there is the colour comparison for you. I love these totem poles, the checklists and the washi. I love them. So guys, I'm just going to return these to their rightful place on the acetate sheet. And then there's only 2 washies and 4 habit trackers left on this stamp sheet. So we are nearly there. So there's only 2 Suey washies left. One is just a blackout one and another is an emoji one. Then I have a blackout water drop, a blackout steamy, I have Suey with coffee cups, and then I have another steamy. So guys, I'm just going to stick with my pigment ink for this time. Pull it up quickly. I absolutely freaking love this one. So if you want to keep track of your coffee or caffeine intake, I don't drink coffee, but I drink a scandalous amount of tea, so this is perfect for keeping track of how many cups of tea or coffee you take a day. And I have to say, I'm not the biggest fan of Suey. I'm the biggest Wonton lover, but this Suey washi is life. I absolutely love it. And as you can see, I paid extra attention to the blackout stamps on this occasion, and they stamped out perfectly. So I'm so happy with these. So guys, that's the last of my Wonton in a Million stamps. I hope you liked this video, so you can have a proper look at how they all do stamp out. And again, I think this speaks for itself with the Midnight Black chalk ink versus the pigment ink. You can see that there is a massive difference. I'm a huge Wonton in a Million fan anyway, and I've always liked stamping, so when I saw that she was releasing her Michael's collection on her website, I picked up a good few pieces, the stamps being one of the main reasons. And I have to say, I've been buying stamps for years, especially from AliExpress, and the quality of the Wonton in a Million stamps is far superior to the cheap ones that I get off AliExpress. So I have to say kudos where kudos is due, because I'm very impressed with them. So as I said, you can get them on wontoninamillion.com, or if you are in America, you can get them in Michael's stores. So guys, that's all from me. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you like what you've seen today, please give me the thumbs up. It is always appreciated. And of course, if you so wish, please subscribe and click that bell so you're notified anytime I upload something new. Bye.